47, but I should have said 48. And last but not least, it's very likely none of the above will happen, which is why it's called a prediction, but only the paranoid survive. So do you think, do you think Trump's going to be there next year as a Republican candidate?
Well, first of all, Only the Paranoid Survive is one of the best books I've ever read.
Andy Grove. He recommended it to me.
And if you want to understand what's wrong with the military establishment, all you have to do is read what he describes in there with IBM and all these other major corporations. So it's a brilliant book. I try to get everybody to read it. Now, secondly, first of all, I think it's brilliant. And I think that if we were living in a linear world, in other words, where one event follows the next logically, you're absolutely right. I don't think we'll ever get to the 2024 election. I think things are going to implode in Washington before then. I think our economic financial condition is fragile. It's going to come home to roost in ugly ways. I will tell you, I don't know exactly how it will happen. I think we're going to end up in a situation where we find out the banks are closed for 2 or 3 weeks and nobody can get into them.
You think so?
I think we're going to run into something like that, yeah. I also think that the levels of violence and criminality in our cities is so high that it's going to spill over into other places in society. People that normally think they can live remote from the problem are now beginning to be touched by the problem. Then I look at this thing in Ukraine. I think Ukraine is going to lose catastrophically. It's going to be a complete collapse. And that, too, is going to have an effect here at home because people are going to say, well, wait a minute. Everybody told us Ukraine was winning. Everybody told us X, Y, and Z. I mean, sort of the Russian hoax on steroids. All of those things are going to come together or converge in some way that's going to prevent us from reaching, the status quo. Oh, another election. Oh, another set of campaigns and so forth. So what you're saying to me is eminently plausible because I don't think Biden will make it through the year. I think he'll be gone. And I think everybody knows that this person, Kamala Harris, lacks the ability under any circumstances to be president of the United States.
When you say gone, you mean passing away because of his age or merely being incapable and finally being, what is that? What do they call it? 25th Amendment or whatever it is?
Shuffled off the stage. I think
they'll save face, though. They'll do it in a way to save face.
Exactly.
Sure.
I think
that's what
Patrick,
you're speaking of, right?
Yeah, I think what Patrick wrote is accurate. Something like that will happen. And then the search begins, and Newsom is the logical candidate for them. He's presiding over California, which is their poster child for the future of America. If you want to know what the Democrats want America to become, look at California. How deeply in debt is California? What's the state of affairs in that country of its own? It's a catastrophe.
All praises and glory to Yahweh Ba'asham Yahushai Ba'asham Ha Rakakwadash. Double honors to our apostle elders, which rule great millstone well, and shalom to the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel. May you endure unto the end. Shalom wa abba babal. Alright, this is 2 Ezra 15 verse 1. Alright, and before I read this, I want to point out that with the general that was being interviewed on that show, he was a military general for the United States military, and he was pretty much explaining that pretty much America is going to be destroyed before 2024's election. Alright, which no man knows the day or the hour, but this is what prophecy is saying also, that the end of America is near, and that's what we've been saying as prophets, starting with the head apostle elders and and their teachers, the elders of One West, and all the way back to Abba Bivens, which, let me go there, in Revelation 11 and 11, it says, and after 3 days and a half, so in 1969, the spirit of life from Yahweh Ba'asham Yahushai entered into them, and they stood upon their feet, and great fear fell upon them which saw them. So we started prophesying in 1969 with the elder Abba Bivens. Alright, and then you had the elders that had the school on One West. Alright, and then you have the apostle elders which rule Great Millstone. Alright, and the truth, the spirit of truth, is with today the men that are of the camp Great Millstone, starting with the head apostles, all right? It says that great fear fell upon them which saw them. And out of this fear, this devil has a plan to come down with great wrath. It says in Revelation 12:12, therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. So Yahweh, Yahushai, the angels, and even the elect, right? We're getting excited because we know America is almost at its end. All right, it's going to be destroyed by nuclear missiles. All right, via nuclear missile from Russia, from its allies. All right, they're going to shoot the nukes upon this whore, America, according to biblical prophecy, after they make the implantable microchip mandatory for buying and selling. All right, woe to the inhabitants of the earth, so the people that live here, because they got to suffer that nuclear destruction, and of the sea. For the devil, the so-called white man, starting with the elite of that race, is come down unto you having great wrath. Why? Because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. All right, but there's a remnant of elect men of the nation of Israel. The nation of Israel are the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians which have been scattered throughout the world in slavery. All right, we're remembering ourselves through the Holy Spirit, even though we're in captivity, still stuck in payment today. Right, we're in captivity, subject to payment to our enemies, starting with the so-called white race, which are the Edomites, the wicked the Bible speaks of. All right, it says, I'll just read verse 11, and they overcame him, talking about the elect that have the faith in Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, by the blood of the Lamb. When you go into this word blood, it goes into the act of being sacrificed and also of being kindred to Yahushai. Yahushai didn't die for every nation. He only died for his people, which are the Israelites. All right? It says, and those are the so-called Negro, Latino, and the indigenous people of North America, Central America, South America, and the Caribbeans. All right? It says, and they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb. The Lamb is Yahushai, and by the word of their testimony, which we're speaking of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. Right? The testimony of Yahushai is prophecy, which we use prophecy. We get the prophecy from the word of Yahweh. Yahushai comes in the volume of the book. In the word of Yahweh, it speaks of Yahushai. And they love not their lives unto the death, right? Because we're going to inherit a crown of life. Okay? Revelation 2:10. It says, fear none of the, Yahweh Shai says this, when you see red letter, this is the Messiah himself speaking. Fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison. All right? That devil being that so-called white man, coming down with great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. He's going to put some brothers in prison for this testimony which we hold, that ye may be tried, so that your faith could be proven. All right? It's not the Lord trying to throw you out of the truth. It tells you in James, all right? It's not the Lord that actually tempts you, all right? It says, verse 12, James 1, verse 12, blessed is the man that endureth temptation, for when he is tried, he shall receive the crown of life, because you'll be saved at the return of Yahushai. And if you die, you'll actually be with Yahushai. Right after you die, you go to Yahushai, to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. If we live, when he returns, we're going to be taken up from this earth unto Yahushai by the angels, right? and he's going to give us a crown of life. So either way, the Israelites really have a win-win situation, all right? We got that golden ticket, and we got it, it's pretty much sealed for the elect and 1/3 of the nation of Israel and America to be saved. But then 2/3, because of their rebelliousness against this truth, their rejection of this truth, they're going to perish in the lake of fire because they're going to be deceived into taking the mark of the beast, which is that implantable microchip, which they're going to make mandatory for buying and selling. The so-called white man, the wicked, the devil the Bible speaks of, the controller of resources at this current time in 2023, the year that we pray Yahweh and his son Yahweh Shai fulfill all these prophecies, all right? They're pretty much prepared to bring out an implantable microchip, and then America will be destroyed. And that's what you hear that general speaking about, because there's actually papers, documents from the government. It's called the Iron Mountain Meeting. All right, it was done here in Colorado in the base of where they have the Space Force and all that, up here in Colorado Springs. And in that program, they have it documented that they want to destroy America, okay? That's the plan. That's the plan of the elite, is to destroy America. That's why they're stripping it of all its resources. That's why they're stripping it. That's why you had all those executives leave all of a sudden.
A rehearsal that went on before this whole shit is called Event 201. It was ran by the Johns Hopkins University, which is in cahoots with Bill Gates, Melinda Gates Foundation, October 18th, 2019. And this was a complete rehearsal of what we did right now. You have a segment where it says segment financial, what we gonna do, segment travel, what we gonna do, segment what we gonna do when it comes to online. And it said if anybody is not a part of the narrative, we're gonna take it off online, which to me smells like communism. After all of that, happens to be about a month later, all the main CEOs in the world, major companies, resign. About 1,000 and some change. Talking about Disney, Hulu, Microsoft, Nike, Wells Fargo, Boeing, you name it, you look at them. And this is the part that I gotta talk to the world about. That's the tail wagging the dog, partner. While y'all worried about followers and likes and who's on TikTok and Instagram, mind you, when I was growing up, Instagram was real simple. Here's a 20 bag, here's an Instagram. So I know I'm gonna give you this and you will get high. Now it's like, hey, look, by the way, here's an Instagram. I want you to picture the bag, the product in it, and I promise you it's gonna get you high. And I hope everybody wake up with what we got going on, and bottom line, what it is, people so connected, they disconnected. And they take so many pictures, they miss the big picture. That's a rehearsal that went.
All right. He's pretty much saying everybody's walking around like a zombie, right? Ready to get hooked up to the world system, the beast system, right? Which is going to include an implantable microchip being put inside your body, okay? And they're not just going to use it for buying and selling. They're going to use it for your information, tracking you, all that. But it's going to be against you. It's going to be a condemnation against you. Pretty much you're going to sell your soul, and it's going to condemn you, and you're going to die in the lake of fire, talking about the Israelites that do that, all right? But the man that endures the temptation, and the only way we're going to be able to endure this temptation is that Yahweh Ba'asham Yahweh Shai favor us, all right? Which he gave us his word. Yahweh gave us his word, and it spoke of his son Yahweh Shai returning, and it said these are the things that will happen before his return so that we could prepare ourselves. Also, we know that these are things are happening because we know what the red devil is doing, the so-called white man. We're not, deceived. We know about his devices. We know about his craftiness. We know that this red devil, the serpent, the so-called white man, all right, he's talking peace, but in his heart is war, right? Genocide, murder, theft, rape, and rape, and there's different forms of that. But I'm just saying, he wants to pretty much rape the innocent of their righteousness, is what I'm pointing that at, okay? And to make it more clear of what I'm speaking about when I say rape, I'm talking about them raping the people, right, of any innocence that they might have. That's why they're pushing abomination like the rainbow flag banner, all right, which is a complete form of confusion.
And put on the screen. So you go on your computer and put on the screen the chakra system. Okay? So you see how the purple is on top, which is basically by the crown chakra, and the very bottom of it is red. Yes. And the red represents the root chakra. Okay? So now take that and put it side by side with the flag.
Oh my God, you're right. Holy shit.
Purple is on the very bottom and the red is on the very top. Now you have to understand what red is. Red is associated with sex. So on the root chakra level, people who are just going around, see, these are the simps who are signing up for and the people who are basically on the streets, they're dominated by the root chakra. They're all
right, which, we know that the information there, it's attached to a false religion, but there is truth in that there is energy in the body, all right, and what you meditate on, you produce, all right, and that's what this devil's doing. He's pushing abominations so that he could create trash, create monsters, create zombies. That's why you got Jake walking around with their pants below their ass. You got the girls trying to be men. You got the men wearing dresses. It's a bunch of confusion. It's witchcraft. All right, it's gross darkness. All right, it says in James 1 verse 13, let no man say when he is tempted, I am tempted of Yahweh or his son Yahushai. For Yahweh nor his son Yahushai cannot be tempted with evil, neither tempteth he any man. But every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lusts and enticed. And that's what the devil does, the so-called white man, right? He sets the stage for you to be tempted by your flesh. That's why he'll short certain things, right? He says you could only have one wife, but then he'll make sure the women, are whores by 14, 15, 16. They already got a freaking, a list of men that they've already slept with, and you're supposed to marry them when they have, 9 baby daddies from, 7 kids with 9 baby daddies, It says, but every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust and enticed. Then when lust hath conceived, it bringeth forth sin, and sin, when it is finished, bringeth forth death. And that's what this devil's bringing. Death and destruction. All right? Hell, the grave. He's going to genocide, all right? Commit genocide. That's the plan, is to kill as many so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians that he can. All right? He wants to kill the Israelites. Psalms 83. It says, for lo, verse 2, for lo, thine enemies make a tumult. And pretty much they're putting a plan together, right? And they're projecting it out throughout their media. In fact, it tells you that the beast system should speak. Revelation 13, it says, verse 15. And he had power to give life, he, the elite of the so-called white race, the devils that rule the world, had power to give life unto the image of the beast. All right? So the image of the beast is the system. That's what's happening right now. This system, the New World Order, is coming to reality. That the image of the beast should both speak, and that's what you hear when they're pushing all this propaganda. It's for the New World Order. And cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and he's going to do that through temptation. He's going to deceive you, right, using your desires, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that have understanding count the number of the beast. All right, this beast is dealing with the so-called white race and their so-called white supremacy on earth. All right, which they built America and the European Union in the image of Rome, the Roman pagan empire, which with NATO, right, with their teeth, they're able to conquer the modern world. It says, for it is the number of a man, the so-called white man, dealing with the elite, and his number is 666, which you get the 666, which their intentions is to microchip as many people as they can, especially the Israelites, because it's going to be the condemnation of any Israelite that allows that to be put in their body by agreeing to it. Excuse me. Now, Psalms 83, all right, it says, let me go back to verse 2. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, the Israelites, and consulted against the hidden ones, talking about the Jews. They have, and I'm not talking about the Jewish, I'm talking about the real Jews, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, all right? Jew goes back to Judah. Judah is the head tribe of the Israelites, which are the so-called American Negroes, all right? But back in the day, you had the southern kingdom, which was the three tribes, Judah, Benjamin, which are the so-called West Indians or Jamaicans, and then you had Levi, which are the so-called Haitians. Those were the Jews when Yahushua was, in the land of Jerusalem. That was the tribe of the kingdom of Judah, the southern kingdom. Then you had the northern kingdom, which are made up by the so-called Hispanics and the so-called natives of North, Central, and South of the Americas, including the Caribbeans. All right, they were here on ships, brought here on ships, Assyrian ships. They came trying to escape from the heathen as well. All right. It says, they have taken crafty counsel against thy people, so the Israelites, and consulted against thy hidden ones, the Jews. Right? They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation. So they don't want us to be together. They don't want us coming together. Okay, because they rule in power by keeping us divided. Right? But now they're divided, and if Satan's house be divided, how can it stand? And consulted against thy hidden... It says in verse 4, they have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. And that's really what they want to do. They want to kill the prophets that are reminding the nation of Israel of who they are by telling them of their power, Yahweh, and their Savior, Yahushua, which we've been, obligated to do. We've been bought with a price, and that price was Yahushua's life. He was sacrificed so that we may have grace and do this work of glorifying our Father in heaven, and that men may see, and they may glorify Him also by honoring the Son, Yahushua, which was sacrificed for us. All right. It says, for they have consulted together with one consent, they are confederate against thee. The New World Order is created against the so-called Negro, Latino, and Native American Indian. You're not included. All right, that's why they're getting rid of the history books. That's why they're getting rid of affirmative action. That's why they're getting rid of all the things pertaining to the Israelites in this society. They're pretty much washing the house of fingerprints because they're about to murder you. All right? And all the other nations are together. All right? And let's go back to that second Esdras. And once we go get this, we'll wrap it up, Lord willing. Second Esdras 15, verse 1, Behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy. So we've been prophesying, just like that general said, there's going to be economic chaos, there's going to be violence, there's going to be all kinds of things happening at one time, which you can see all these things building up right now. It says, which I will put in thy mouth, saith the Lord, and cause them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true, because they're prophecy of Yahushai's return. And Yahushai said, these are the things to watch for. It says, and while we watch, we pray. It says, fear not the imaginations against thee, which these heathen want to kill us. Let not the incredulity of them trouble thee, the unbelieving of the Israelite. Don't worry about them. They're 2/3, they're reprobates, and there's no converting them. All right, they're going to be destroyed in the lake of fire because they take that implantable microchip in rejection of the truth. That speak against thee, right? They're scoffing. For all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness. Behold, saith the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world. The sword, right? Esau Edom being released as a weapon against the world. And I'm talking about the world of Israel, because the world was made for our sakes. All right? It says famine, death, and destruction. Okay? Esau Edom, the so-called white man, the red devil. All right? He is Satan. He is the harbinger of death. He is your adversary. All right? Now let me jump down. It says in verse 10, Behold, my people. And this is really talking about the prophets, but these devils don't give a fuck. They're going to kill these 2/3 too. That's why they always saying they're going after the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians. With the jab, with criminal charges, with anything that is evil, they come after the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians, because we are the biblical Hebrew Israelites. All right, it says, Behold, my people is led as a flock to the slaughter. I will not suffer them now to dwell in the land of Egypt. So that's what's about to happen. They're about to slaughter the Israelites trying to get to the elect. It says, But I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm, and smite Egypt with plagues as before, and will destroy all the land thereof. And how will it be destroyed? It will be destroyed by nuclear missiles being fired upon it. It says in verse 14, Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, because there's going to be a nuclear war. For the sword, the so-called white men, and their destruction draweth nigh, which is that nuclear destruction. And one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings, nor princes, nor princes, which, didn't you just hear that general? He said he didn't believe that there'd be an election. The election is between the princes of Babylon, right? The dukes of Edom, right? So they're pretty much not even going to care about the election no more. They're going to want to actually take it out on their politicians, That's why, they set up a lot of security, increased security around these politicians and where they dwell and where they work. They've even given them satellite phones because they're pretty much, their life is in danger because they've been fucking their citizens over, ever since the beginning of America's creation. Okay? So the people are fed up. They're really fed up, but they can't do nothing about it yet. But once the Lord allows them to, man, all hell is going to break out. All right? And just like you heard that general, it could happen. He's expecting it to happen in 2023, 2024. Right? Because people are fed up, and the Lord has set it up to end up like this. All right, it's going to end in violence. America is going to end in great violence. It says, a man shall be, it says, and the course, I'm in verse 16 at the bottom, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. So dealing with the sedition, these citizens that are fed up with their politicians, the Lord is going to give the politician over to them. He's going to have, these elite, trillionaires, the ones that are controlling these little low-level Edomites. Like you had these little politicians that think they're rich because they got a couple million, but you got actual Edomites that are worth even greater amount, trillions, numbers that you can't even count to, and they're going to pretty much set them up and abandon them and allow the citizens to tear them to pieces. All right? It says, for because of their pride, verse 17, a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able, right? And this is going to be caused because of the draconian law, martial law, right, where they enforce a tax that you are going to have to pay with the implantable microchip. All right? For because of their pride, the so-called white man, the elite, which they call the Illuminati, the cities shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and the men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation, all right, which is going to lead into them, demanding that everyone have that implantable microchip, and then sudden destruction, all right, after that, immediate destruction. It tells you that in Matthew 24, it says, in 28, Yahushua says it, 29, immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. And you know how they just came out and said that they're talking about, covering the sun to stop the sun from, shining on the earth. Well, that's part of that plan with those nuclear missiles, because they think that they're going to get the kingdom back. But they're actually going to go into slavery under the Israelites, which are going to rule forever. It says, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, right? The stars being the nuclear missiles, and the powers, the elite of the heavens, which is talking about America, shall be shaken, because they're going to be afraid because they know what's coming, their slavery. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man, Yahushua, which is the so-called black man, in heaven. And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. Okay? So he's going to deliver us at the same time as he shows hate to Esau and them 2/3 that are in bed with Esau and the other nations. It says, now learn, Yahushua says, now learn a parable. So this is pretty much telling you the same thing, all right, of the fig tree, which the fig tree is going to be used as an example. When his branch is yet tender and putteth forth leaves, ye know that summer is nigh. So summer is a hot period, right? And it tells you in Malachi that there's going to be a day that burneth as an oven. Okay? So this is what that's referencing. All right? It says, when it putteth forth leaves, ye know that summer is nigh. Talking about the nuclear destruction of America. So we're seeing all the things, including the implantable microchip, being approved by the FDA, about to be promoted with the CBDC as a digital wallet, right? to hold your information for your protection, right? For your safety. And guess what? It's going to get you sudden destruction, and the nuclear missiles that are going to fall upon America is going to eat your flesh. All right? But the elect are promised that they're going to receive salvation. And so we're going to eat the fruit of our doings, which the wicked are going to get ill for what they've done. And 2/3 as well. Everyone's going to get a reward for what they've been doing on earth, right? Whether they're doing righteous, which only the Israelites could do righteous, or whether they're doing wicked, which all the nations are committing wickedness after the so-called white man, the red devil, which is the wicked that ruled the world. That's why the world is in a wicked state. All right? All praises and glory to Yahweh Ba'asham, Yahushai, Ba'asham Ha, Rakakwadash, double honors unto our apostle elders, which rule great millstone well, and shalom to the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel. May you endure into the end. Shalom wa abba babal.